In last class, we were discussing about beam width, and I have left at half power beam width. And in today's class, we will look more about half power beam width, and we will also look first null beam width. Along with these two things, I will also discuss field region and then power radiated by the antenna. So these topics will be covered in today's class. We were discussing half power beam width based upon this directional radiation pattern. So in case of directional radiation pattern, when we draw normalized radiation pattern, so the maximum value in case of normalized radiation pattern is 1, and we know that in case of polar plot, these circles represent the amplitude. This amplitude may be electric field, it may be power, it may be voltage, it may be current, depending upon the parameter in which you are driving your relationship. This vertical axis and horizontal axis and other lines, these are basically lines of different angles starting from 0, 90 degree, 180 degree, minus 90 degree. So I have here just drawn two circles, one representing outer circle representing value 1, inner circle representing value 1 by 2. So as it is a power pattern, so this half power beam width means first we have to locate the half power point. So half power point will be the half circle, or we can say that circle having value 1 by 2 or 0.5, cutting this radiation pattern at these 2 points. So these points are called as half power points, and angle between these two, it is known as half power beam width. So this will be this much degree. So if you have to just look for this half power point, so this point, so it will be just theta 2 times. If you just do it, it will be 2 theta. So now if you just look another pattern, radiation pattern, which is plotted with the electric field value, we used to call the field pattern. So this is plotted with the electric field value. We are talking about half power. So in case if you take 1 upon root 2, so this will represent in power as half power, because power is proportional to E square. So 1 upon 2 square if you do, it will be 1 upon 2. So in this case, a circle representing 1 upon root 2 or 0.707 value, it will basically indicate the half power point. Similarly, when we have a radiation pattern with dB values, it means it will be again be a power pattern, but now it will have dB values. So when you have dB values, if you take 10 log of 1, you will have 0. So in this case, outer circle will represent 0 dB, all inner circle will represent minus value. So half power in case of dB value, it will be minus 3 dB. So these were the point through which we can evaluate the half power beam width. Now another beam width we usually study in case of our antenna theory, it is first null beam width. This is first null beam width. We usually used to write it as F FNBW, first null beam width. Now again I will draw the radiation pattern. This will be your main lobe. This is our minor lobe. These are called the side lobe. This is called the back lobe. Theta equal to 0, 90 degree, 180 degree, minus 90 degree. Now as the term represent first null, null indicate basically zero value, null indicate zero value, and it is first null. It means first time your radiation pattern having zero value. So if you look for the main lobe, it is coming here 0, again it is for the minor lobe. So nulls in this direction, nulls in this direction, nulls in this direction, but it is asking about the first null. So if I have to just say that this will be null, correspondingly this will be null. So this is called the first null. It will be second null, it will be third null. You will also having this null, and if you just draw here, it is also null. So second null, third null, but here we are interested only in the first null beam width. So this angle represent the first null. Now angle between these two value, these two, it is called the FNBW, first null beam width. So it is very easy where the radiation pattern first time it becomes 0. So angle between these two lines, it is called as FNBW. But in case of antenna theory, the most important point is your half power beam width rather than the first null beam width. In some of the cases, not in all the cases, in some of the cases, half power beam width is half of the first null beam width, but this is particularly to some antenna, we cannot generalize it. So in some cases basically it will be easy to determine the first null beam width, and based upon that first null beam width we can evaluate the half power beam width just taking the half of that, but you cannot generalize it. So I am not specifically just writing that particular point. Now I will just try to explain that why to study these half power beam width, why to study half power HPBW. What is the importance of this half power beam width, and what is the importance of this radiation pattern? So when we were explaining radiation pattern, I have told you that any receiver which is within the illumination area will receive the power. But is it true? I say no, it's not true. If you have to receive a significant amount of power so that you can retrieve the signal, so it is basically not the illumination area, it is basically the half power beam width in which your signal must lie. So I will just again try to show you these particular. Now I will just to utilize this area, I will just draw our radiation pattern in this direction. I am writing in this direction, theta is equal to 0. You may rotate it, but you must keep in mind it is not necessary that always your maximum is at theta equal to 0. Theta equal to 0, theta equal to 90 degree, theta equal to 180 degree, this is theta equal to minus 90 degree. Your maximum can be in theta equal to 90 degree, even your maximum can be theta equal to 180 degree, your maximum can be theta equal to minus 90 degree. It is not always that your maximum is theta equal to 0 degree. It will depend upon different kind of antenna and the coordinate system we are using, where we are taking theta is equal to 0, where we are taking theta equal to 90. Mostly we use this thing, but it may vary upon the coordinate system and the polar system we are using and in which way we are taking our observation. It will basically mostly depend upon the way we are taking the observation if we are experimentally making these patterns. Now I will just consider here that these are my half power point, half power point. So it means I will just draw this line somewhat longer. Similarly, I will draw this line also somewhat longer. This is this way. Now this is your half power beam width. This represent half power beam width. Now if you look here, that your radiation will also come in this direction, because if I just draw here this first null beam width, if I just also consider this minor lobes, I will just consider this minor lobes and we look here that this line and this line. So it means your power with first null beam width, it means on this line your power will be 0. The line we have drawn here, on this line if you just move your receiver, you will receive 0 power. But within first null beam width, it means if you place some receiver at this particular point, it will receive power. But this receiver, it will not receive sufficient power that it can interpret your signal. So for interpreting any signal, your antenna must receive the significant power. So in case of, if we consider this as a transmitting antenna, if I just consider it as a transmitting antenna, transmitter, so in this case any receiver which is placed within half power beam width, it will basically receive the power. This receiver RX1, RX2, RX3, RX4, RX5. So all these receiver which are within the half power beam width of your transmitting antenna, they will receive the sufficient power so that they can interpret the signal, or we can say that they will receive signal, or they will receive signal with good strength. When your receiver it is placed outside this half power beam width, although it will receive some signal, but that will be a very weak signal. So at the starting point where I have told you that radiation pattern will basically tell us that if any receiver antenna is within the illumination area, so it will receive the power. It is true, but for good amount of power, that antenna must be within the half power beam width. So I think this point must be very much clear to you, that if we have to substitute our receiver antenna, so this receiver antenna must be substituted within the half power beam width of the transmitted antenna. Now again I will again draw the similar radiation pattern. And take these half power point and draw this radiation pattern this particular way. Hopefully it will be visible to you, and this will be half power beam width. This will be your half power beam width. Now I will consider this antenna as a receiver antenna. Receiver antenna RX. Now when it is a receiver antenna, similar antenna, first condition I have just considered that it is transmitting the power. Same antenna when it is behaving as a receiver. So when it is behaving as a receiver, every parameter will remain same. Its radiation pattern will be same, its half power beam width will be same, nothing will basically change, side lobe will remain same. As was in the case of transmitter, it will be same as in case of your receiver antenna. Now what will happen? Now any wave which is coming within this half power beam width, this will be basically received by the antenna. Any wave which is coming within this half power beam width of the antenna will be received by the antenna. Any wave which is coming beyond this half power beam width, this will be not received by the antenna. Now in case of transmitter as well as in case of receiver, there is one more point here. If we look this side lobe, if we look for these side lobe, so any wave which is directed toward the side lobe, it will also be received. This wave will also be received because it is directed toward the minor lobe. So when it is a transmitter, through this minor lobe power will be transmitted. It will be transmitted. It will be weak power, but surely it will be power. It will have the signal in it. Similarly, when any wave coming in this direction or the direction of the side lobe, it will be received by the antenna. So you must know that if you are expecting that your transmitter antenna is located here and you are expecting that all the power transmitted by this antenna must be received by this receiver antenna, it is correct. It will receive this power. But suppose that any other antenna which is located at this location, it is also transmitting power in this direction, So you are now supposed to receive power from this antenna, but it will get received through this minor lobe. So it will create interference at the receiver antenna. So if you have to avoid the reception of signal from this antenna, you may have various techniques through which you can change the direction of your minor lobe. So changing the direction of minor lobe we will study when we look for our antenna array. This cannot be done with the single antenna. We have to apply multiple antenna to basically change the direction of our minor lobe. So here, if we have any antenna which is directed toward the minor lobe, the signal will be received by the receiver antenna and it will basically create interference to the desired signal. So this we used to call it as desired signal. This we used to call it as undesired signal. Desired signal here, undesired signal. So your antenna will receive desired signal as well as the undesired signal. We will discuss these points further, how we can remove this undesired signal so that it cannot be received by the antenna. So this is all about your half power beamwidth and the Fresnel beamwidth. Now you will be just thinking about, I have told a lot of conceptual thing about this half power beamwidth, what is half power beamwidth, what is Fresnel beamwidth, and how it is useful in our antenna theory. But you will be thinking that how I can evaluate these values. What will be the value of half power beamwidth in degree? It will be 10 degree, 20 degree, 30 degree, 90 degree. What will be the value of Fresnel beamwidth? It will be 50 degree, 60 degree. So what must be the exact value of these half power beamwidth and the Fresnel beamwidth? So this half power beamwidth and the Fresnel beamwidth, its value will basically change with respect to your different antenna. Each antenna will have its different half power beamwidth and the Fresnel beamwidth. So it will basically depend upon the design of the antenna which value you need. So you can design your own antenna according to your need of half power beamwidth and the Fresnel beamwidth. So after 2 or 3 lectures we will concentrate about how to evaluate these values. So before coming to the evaluation of half power beamwidth and the Fresnel beamwidth, we will look the radiation intensity. So based upon that radiation intensity, we will evaluate this half power beamwidth and the Fresnel beamwidth. The next thing which we are interested in our antenna theory, it is called as field region. This is called as field region. So you were just seeing that I am making a symbol, this kind of symbol. So when I am making this kind of symbol, I have shown you. So this is symbol is for horn antenna. There is another symbol I will make. This is for dipole antenna. So we will look this dipole antenna and horn antenna in detail, but after some lectures. So I will just hope that you are not confused about these symbols. So I have just made these symbols. This is for horn antenna, this is dipole antenna, and currently as we are not talking about some specific antenna and their property, So interchangeably I will make this antenna or this antenna. It is not necessary always I make this or this. So in field region I will just make this antenna, and I will draw two different circles. Then first I just draw these circles. First one, this is the second one. These are the circles. These are not looking like circles, some tilted at several points, so but consider it as a circle. This distance you may consider R1, this distance you may consider R2. So if you look here with these circles, one is region 1, this, another is region 2, and another is region 3. If I just simply say region 1, it is when R is less than R1, region 2, R, it is basically greater than R1 but less than R2, region 3, when your R, it is greater than R2. So why I have just drawn these three regions, region 1, region 2 and region 3. So as we are aware about that, the major work of our antenna as a transmitter is, it is transmitting the electromagnetic wave. So when it is transmitting electromagnetic wave, so the transmission of electromagnetic wave is basically divided in these three different regions. So the region 1, which I have just written, region 1, it is called as reactive near field. Reactive near field, reactive near field region. Region 2, it is called as radiating near field region. Radiating near field, also called as Fresnel. And region 3, it is called as radiating far field, or it is called as Fraunhofer region. So we have divided this field region into three parts: reactive near field, radiating near field, and radiating far field. So basically two are near field, another is far field. This reactive near field, in this region, it is basically stored energy. Stored energy. So it simply means that when the wave start delinking from the antenna, or it just start radiating, so in this particular region, it is basically the energy is stored. So how energy is stored? You have just seen that in this region energy is stored as the energy is stored in case of inductor and the capacitor. So this region basically behave like an inductance and capacitance region. So energy is stored in this particular region. When we will solve our field equation for dipole, and we will look that the electric field and magnetic field value for this particular region is imaginary. So when you have power value, field value as an imaginary value, so it basically indicate that it is a stored energy. So region 1, which is reactive near field region, here we have the stored energy. Radiating near field region, here from this stored energy in this region 2, it basically start radiating. Signal start radiating. It means it has delinked from the antenna and it has start propagating in the free space. But what happens in case of radiating near field? If we look for the wavefront, it is a spherical wavefront. Spherical wavefront. I will come to this wavefront again. And in radiating far field region, which is region 3, here when the wave is radiating, so they are radiating in plane wavefront. So if I have to just write the distance for these equation, so region 1, if I have to write, so this r is less than 0.62 root of d cube upon lambda. Region 2, r, it is greater than or equal to 0.62 root of d cube upon lambda, less than 2 d square by lambda. Region 3, sorry, I am always writing this 4, but it is region 3, r is greater than or equal to 2 d square by lambda. Now for all these, d is the maximum length of antenna, maximum dimension of antenna. Lambda, you know that it is wavelength. So if you have to evaluate that how we define these particular region, so r, it will be a sphere of dimension this. If you know the dimension of the antenna, substitute here, you know the wavelength at which it is radiating, you can evaluate the value, and this will represent a sphere of radius r, and it will be the region 1. Similarly, you can evaluate the region 2 and you can evaluate the region 3. So in most of the practical cases, we use to observe region 3. We substitute our receiver antenna in region 3. Most of the practical cases, you know that we have wireless system, we are having mobile system, we are having satellite system. So everywhere our transmitter and receiver antenna are located in far field region. So in most of the cases, most of the practical cases, we are more interested for this particular region. There are very less application in which we are working in region 1 and region 2. So in most of the cases, we are basically working in the region 3. Now the again question arises that what is wavefront? So you know that you used to define the wavefront, it is locus of the same phase. If you just find out the locus of the same phase, so it will be simply your wavefront. Wavefront can be of 3 type. It can be a spherical wavefront making a sphere. It means that the same phase point are making a sphere. It is a plane wavefront. It means same phase point are making a plane, and it may be the cylindrical wavefront. It means same phase point are making a cylinder. So if I just show you how we used to define this particular points. Now if you just consider that it is a point source, it is radiating in free space. I will just draw some lines, this, okay. Now as we know that we are transmitting a sine wave, so I will just make this sine wave. Same time they are transmitting, I will just make this. So if we are interested, I will also make here. Similarly you can draw for this region, similarly you can draw for this, similarly you can draw this. If I just consider it as a point source, so hopefully this must be visible to you. Now if I just take this point here, this point, this point, this point, this point, and this point, this will be the same phase. This and this will be the same phase. If I just join these points, I must join with this red pen. So if I join this point, so it will be this way, and if I just look for the other, so it will just make a this. So it is a 2-dimensional. So the same phase are making a circle. If it will be in 3-dimensional, it means it will be rotating upward, downward. So this will basically make a sphere. So it will be a spherical wave front. So from this simple figure, you can say that in the radiating near field we will have the spherical wave front. Now if you are just looking at the far point, suppose I am interested at this particular point. Now the wave will be coming this way, this way, this way, this way. It will be this way, this way, this way, this way, this way. So if I just look locally, if I just look this point, so we will find that here all the wave are parallel to each other. If we are looking in the far field region and for some localized point of view, it means I am not going to check for a larger region. I am just interested to look in this particular region. This particular region I am interested to check this particular region. So it will be a smaller region, and this smaller region, this will be a smaller region, and in this smaller region what we will see that all the waves are parallel to each other. And when they are parallel to each other, I will just draw this kind of figure. I will simply draw this kind of figure. So if I just draw this line, it will be of the containing the same phase point. So this will be your plane wave front. Plane wave front. So that in case of far field region, you will find a plane wave front, whereas in near field, radiating near field, you will find a spherical wave front. And in case of far field region, when we are looking locally for a smaller region, so all our waves are parallel to each other, therefore we will just find the plane wave front. So in case of when our antenna is radiating in near field, we will have a spherical wave front. In far field, we are having a plane wave front, because in case of far field, we are basically looking for very smaller region. If you just want to again check this point, if just I consider this particular antenna, and if I just take that this is half power beam width in which it is transmitting the wave beat. Now in far field region, suppose my receiver antenna is located at this point, at this particular point. So the area from where it will receive the wave, it will be this smaller area, this smaller area through which receiver antenna will receive wave. And as it will be in far field, so it will receive the wave which are parallel to each other, and it will receive the wave in plane wave front. So instead of looking for this larger region, whole half power beam width, the receiver antenna will receive the wave from a very smaller region, due to which in far field it will receive a plane wave front. Instead of a spherical wave front, it will receive a plane wave front. But if you substitute this antenna to this location very near to the antenna, instead of receiving this plane wave front, it will receive a spherical wave front. So this must be clear to you that why we are just segregating these different field regions. And now I will just finish up today's class, and in next class we will look for power rated by the antenna and the radiation intensity, based upon which we will solve several numerical problems.